When I run into Cirrus pilots, I get asked all the time, hey Mossy, how do you set up your primary flight display in the Avidyne Cirrus for IFR flight? And I always have the same answer, because ever since I started flying the Cirrus SR22 in 2003, I've been using the same technique. I call the technique the 1-2-1 setup. And it looks something like this. I will always have the line select key 1 left set to nav 1, whether it's GPS 1 or VLOC 1. And then moving down to line select key 2, which is the bearing, I'll always have that set to a 2. Usually it's VLOC 2, but in some situations it calls for it to be set to GPS 2. And then almost always I will have the aux, which is line select key 3 left, set to GPS 1. So we'll talk about that more in a minute. But first of all, let's start with line select key 1 left, which is the nav. So obviously if I'm flying a GPS flight plan, then the decision's pretty obvious. I'm going to leave it set to GPS 1. And a key point I want you to know about it is you should always do that selection via the Garmin CDI button.
Line select key left 1 is basically interconnected with the CDI button.
So I will never actually touch the actual line select key button. I will always do it via the CDI button on the Garmin 430. Why? Because unless you're doing the initial system initialization test, that's in another segment, you can end up that as you change it in flight, you can inadvertently put yourself into GPS 2. What tends to happen is, if there's a different flight plan in your Garmin 2, the autopilot will start flying that flight plan. Big no-no. So it's either for me VLOC 1 or it's going to be GPS 1, and again that's set via the CDI button. Alright, let's move on to line select key 2 left, which is called the bearing. Now that you'll actually need to use the line select key button to change the setting. So for that, I typically will always fly with it on VLOC 2. I like to always back up my navigation with raw data. And we still tend to see people that don't do that. But you go on the major airline flight decks, professional pilot, business jet community, everybody is backing up their FMS data with raw data. It's a professional pilot technique. I highly encourage you to do that. That being said, there comes the time where it is required to get a second DME, or a second distance readout. And as everybody knows, we use GPS for our distance readouts. Let's say, for example, you're at Van Nuys Airport and you're shooting one of the Canoga or Newhall departures. There, the departure will actually call for you to fly runway heading until Van Nuys 2.2 DME. Here, I use the technique of using my second Garmin, and I've taken my second Garmin 430 and put Van Nuys in there, VNY, Victor November Yankee, and I actually like to lock it in by using the OBS button. This allows me now to set my bearing to GPS 2 and display the data from the Garmin 430 on the line select key 2 left data tag. Here, so by toggling the button, I've now set GPS 2. Here it says Van Nuys bearing 268, 6.5 nautical miles. So again, that is the time I'll display GPS 2. Now, that takes us into line select key 3 left. 3 left, I will always, almost always, set to GPS 1. That way I can always display my data. You can see here, when I'm actually shooting an approach into Oxnard, the ILS runway 25, note on 1 left, I've got the ILS dialed up. There's the localizer frequency in the course. Note on my VLOC 2, my 2 left, I've got the Camarillo VOR set in there. Why? Because the missed approach is based off the Camarillo VOR. Okay, well now I have no distance counting me down to the runway. Well, that's why I always have GPS 1 set to aux. There's my distance. But to go back to the theory, it's called the 1-2-1 theory or the 1-2-1 technique. I will always set 1 left to GPS 1 or VLOC 1. Via what? The CDI button. I will always set my bearing, which is 2 left. 2 left is the bearing. I will always set that to VLOC 2 or GPS 2 if I require a second distance or second DME. And then I will always fly with 3 left, which is the aux, in GPS 1. That way I can always display my data. And hopefully now, when you set up your primary flight display for IFR flight, you'll know how to do it.